Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 13 of What If Naruto Was a League Summoner. If you guys enjoy this What If and want to see part 14 of it, comment down below and let me know. I have created a playlist for this What If where you can find all the previous parts, link is in the description. And go ahead and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. What's up? When Naruto, Rias, Ashia and Ravel walked into their clubroom that morning a few days after the peace conference between the three factions, the first one to greet them was none other than the governor of Grigori Azazel himself. He was sitting comfortably on the seat normally reserved for Rias as if it was his, drinking the tea that was being served to him by a reluctant Akeno. Moreover, he wasn't the only one, as there was also Rina Shido, who was standing with Zenovia, giving off a holy feeling that Naruto had only felt once before from the archangels Michael and Gabriel. Azazel, what are you doing here? Rias asked the governor in surprise, a cold gleam in her eyes as she stared at the governor of Grigori. Now, I don't think that's the way to talk to your teacher. Azazel had already declared with a cheeky smile, making Rias and those who had just arrived widen their eyes in surprise. You see, starting from today, I will be the club advisor to the Occult Research Club, as well as a chemistry teacher of this school. It's a direct request from Surziches, so the sister of Leviathan made the arrangement for me. Please call me Azazel Sensei, but the governor is fine too. Rias looked like she wanted to oppose the idea, but when she heard her brother's name and that it was his idea, there was nothing she could say. So I figure you aren't just here to teach us chemistry, are you? Naruto asked, as he kneeled down on the floor and opened his backpack for Yumi to come out, and then head over to her usual spot on Kaneko's lap. Oh, yes. The condition for me to be here is that I work to help you guys improve your sacred gear, especially you Naruto, since I am quite knowledgeable in the matter, and have a lot of time to spare. Azazel answered with a smile before his tone became somewhat serious. You guys have also heard about it, but we are now allies with a common enemy in Chaos Brigade. My job is to help you prepare for them when the time comes. Are you saying that they will attack this place again? Rias questioned in curiosity as she took her seat on the couch across from Azazel with Naruto and Ravel. It is very unlikely, but possible. After all, from the information we have gathered, Chaos Brigade is an organization consisting of many different groups with their own agendas. Who knows what they might try to do? Though the whole world is on full alert now, Chaos Brigade would at least have to think twice before making their next moves, so you kids will have some time to prepare yourself when they come. Azazel replied with a shrug, saying so seriously also, don't forget about Volley, who has formed his own team with the likes of Biku, the descendant of the original Monkey King, Sun Wukong. His rival, the Welsh Dragon, is Hirakuo, and he has also found a worthy opponent in Yupon. It is very likely that he will show up in the near future to challenge you for a fight. Everyone nodded their heads in understanding. Also, to strengthen the bond between the three factions, it has been decided that Rina Shido, Heaven's representative and messenger, will be transferring to Kuo Academy as a second-year student next semester. For the time being though, she will be a member of the Gremory group. Azazel then introduced while gesturing his hand to Rina, who smiled brightly and struck a cute pose, as a pair of white wings appeared on her back and a halo to form above her head, much to the surprise of everyone in the room. Please accept me and take care of me from now on. Rina cheerfully said as everyone gave her a round of applause, with Ashia and Zenovia being the ones who clapped their hands the loudest. Once the welcoming ended, Rina then made her wings disappear, and walked over to Ashia, grabbing her hands as she lowered her head. Ashia-san. Sorry I called you a witch last time. I'm so sorry. Ashia merely smiled and shook her head at the chestnut-haired angel's apology. I do not mind. I hope we can get along as we all love the same lord. The same with me. Zenovia smiled as she walked over to the two girls. This was also my fault for acting without thinking. After all, I became a devil right away. But I'm glad we're together like this. And with that, the three began to pray, with Ashia and Zenovia suffering no consequence whatsoever. On his request after the peace treaty was signed, Michael had done an adjustment to the holy system, allowing devils who still believed in God and his teachings like Ashia and Zenovia to be able to pray without suffering a massive headache. It wasn't much, but that's the least he could do for Ashia, knowing her habit of praying had been bringing her a lot of pain recently, even after learning that God was dead. So you're an angel now? Were you secretly an angel before? Naruto couldn't help but ask as he and Rias sat down next to Kaneko and Yumi. His girlfriend not looking at all pleased that the dual-colored haired governor didn't look like he would be removing himself from her usual seat anytime soon. Yay. I received Michael-sama's blessing and became a reincarnated angel. I heard that the Seraph used a technology based on that of the devils and fallen angels, making this possible. The evil peace system, you mean? Azazel raised an eyebrow with clear interest in the topic. It had only been a few days, but it appeared that the alliance between the three great powers had already advanced that far. Maybe it was because of the threat of Chaos Brigade and Office too. Since new angels could not be born because of the death of God, they were the weakest in number, giving them a massive disadvantage in the battles ahead. Yes. It's called the Brave Saints, Serena answered with a nod. Currently, the 4 Great Seraphs are the only ones who have it, making 4 sets of 13 cards of the standard 52 card deck. Michael Sama is the spade, Gabriel Sama has the suit of heart, Raphael Sama with club, and Uriel Sama has the diamond suit. So the king is the master, I assume. Azazel asked in interest. Man, those angels really work fast. To be able to create something so interesting with the technologies we gave them. So which card are you, Rena? Riaz asked curiously. I am an ace, the chestnut-haired girl answered confidently as she showed them a symbol of the ace of spade on the back of her head, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Michael Sama's ace, to be exact. I received a position of honor. Even if the Lord doesn't exist, I can continue to live like Michael Sama's ace. She then continued also, when he reincarnated me into an angel, Michael Sama said that he can imagine a special rating game between the evil pieces and the brave saints happening in the future. For the time being, only the Seraphs have them, but in the future, the high-level angel Sama, in addition to the Seraphs, could use the system, and he hopes we will be able to compete against each other in the Devil's rating games. Everyone looked very surprised at the prospect, while Azazel looked very impressed. Oh, I get what Michael is thinking. Azazel smirked while rubbing his chin. We have been at wars with each other for so long, that a common enemy and a few leaders coming together to sign a piece of paper is not going to change the way we view each other. So why not prepare for a representative war, where everyone could loosen up on the spirit of peace and sportsmanship? It would be like a World Cup or an Olympics in the human world. Riaz finished, looking very excited at the idea of competing against the Angels' brave saints. It won't happen anytime soon though, maybe 10 or 20 years from now. But speaking of rating game, the governor of Fallen Angels then turned his head over to look at Naruto. The corner of his lips curving up into a smirk before he continued. Did you know that a game mode based on League is coming very soon? Wait, what? Really? You serious? Naruto spluttered, feeling his jaw hitting the ground as he gasped in shock, a feeling that was shared by everyone who knew about League, while Irina and Zenobia could only look at them in confusion. Still, beside the newest member of the club, they all knew that aside from the standard chess game rules, there were many more special rules for the official rating games matches, from an all-out battle like one-day-long war game, to the objective-based games like Scramble Flag. Naruto then spun his head over to look at Riaz, who then smiled apologetically at him before saying, showing that she had known about this too. Sorry Naruto. My brother contacted me and told me about the new game rule earlier this morning. I want to tell you and everyone at the same time today. Still, Azazel is telling the truth. It's Azazel Sensei for you, Riaz. Sorry, Azazel Sensei. Riaz replied to him sarcastically before she turned back to Naruto anyway. Ajuka Beelzebub Sama, the creator of the Evil Peace system, has decided to add a special rule into the rating game and create a new objective-focused game mode based on League of Legends. With how popular it has become in the underworld thanks to you. Naruto couldn't only look at his master in amazement. He did not know what to say. It will take some time for us to see it in an official tournament though, and the organizers need some time to work on the rules, since many peerages have more than 5 members including the kings, but they have already started setting up the field for us. For us? Yes. Riaz nodded at him with her eyes gleaming with excitement. In a month's time, we will be participating in the Youth Devil Rating Game Tournament that is hosted by the 4 Great Demon King themselves, to have the young devil heirs compete against each other, in order to increase our power as well serve to test the new game mode for the fans of official rating games tournaments. To say that Naruto was shocked would be an understatement. Oh wow. Was the only thing that he could say. Ajuka-sama and the organizers of the rating game tournament will contact you soon I believe, since you are more or less the representative of the league in this world. Riaz then continued with the declaration, but also because of it, we need to prepare the best we can for this tournament. That's why next week, we are heading to Reykjavik, Iceland to watch the 2021 League of Legends Mid-Season Invitational. Naruto widened his eyes in surprise at that. So many things had happened recently that he had almost forgotten about the second largest league's event of the year, the MSI. Don't expect us to be the only ones there though, knowing Sona, Sarrier and Sikvera, they will probably try to get there as soon as possible to see League at the highest level to prepare for the tournament too. I see. Wow. Naruto could only nod his head and reply like that to his master girlfriend, who continued to smile at him. So once we are done with MSI, we will go to the underworld for this tournament. Yes, and also for everyone to meet my family too. I always come home at the start of summer vacation, so make sure to clear your schedule. Riaz told him, making Naruto nod his head. Not that he had ever had anything to do beside going to that summer camp or staying at home playing League all days, so he would go anywhere. Riaz want him to thinking about it. It will also be Ashia and Zenovia's first time too, right? Ashia nodded at Riaz's question. Yes. I'm nervous about going to hell while I'm alive. Too thought if I were to go there, it would be when I died. Yay. I actually have been interested in the underworld and hell for quite a while now. Now that I am a devil, there must be zero chance for me to go to paradise now. I feel a certain irony in setting foot in the same world of those who went to hell for a divine punishment. Hell, huh. That suits an ex-believer turned devil. You too? Naruto chuckled forcefully with a nervous sweat drop, as Irina began to start praying alongside him. Of course, for believers like them, the underworld would be the place that they wanted to go to least. We are going to spend the rest of the summer vacation there until around the 20th of August. Rias then said, before turning her head over to look at the angel of their group Irina. You can tag along too if you want. I can go with everyone to Iceland, but after that, since it's hell, I really don't want to go, but I don't want to be left behind too. Irina asked with her hands clapping in front of her chest. What should I do, Michael-sama? Please show me the way. I think that's all for now. Rias said as she stood up from her seat and clapped a hand in front of her. Let's start Irina's welcome party, shall we? Yo, what about me then? Right, Azazel-sensei too. Yes, I understand, Ichuka-sama. Naruto grinned. Among the devils he was talking using a number of communication magic circles on the table before him. One of them was a handsome young man appearing in his early 20s, with light blue eyes and green hair that was slicked back. His name was Ichuka Beelzebub, and he was the chief advisor for the technology department of the devils, and the creator of the Evil Pieces system and the rating game. I have sent Yumi back to Runeterra earlier tonight with your message to the High Council of the Institute of War. I have also talked to the High Summoner about your idea, and since he and the other summoners didn't seem to have anything against the idea, I'm sure that we will be able to make it official very soon. Glad to hear it, Naruto-kun. Ichuka smiled as the representatives of the organizers of the official rating game tournament nodded their heads in agreement. If things go smoothly, we will be able to finish that Summoner Rift-inspired game field soon. We will let you know the moment it is finished, Naruto-san. A male devil who seemed to be the boss of the group of devils, said while rubbing his chin, making Naruto smile excitedly at that. He could be the first young devil to witness a real life, or at least this world's, version of the Summoner Rift, something that he had seen so many times before in Riot Games videos, and wished it was real. Also, thank you for making this possible, Naruto-san. Many fans have been losing interest in the old game modes recently. It's my honor. Please don't mention it. Naruto shook his head and answered the man immediately. Will there be neutral objectives, Ichuka-sama, like the dragons or the Baron Nashor? The person who asked that question was none other than Rias, who was sitting with Naruto on the couch in the VIP room on the 6th floor of his house. Standing behind them were Grafia and Ravel. The latter had become a manager of sorts to Naruto on Surzich's request. Apparently, with how famous he and his champions, especially Sona, had become among the young and adult devils alike because of League and the announcement of the new mode of the rating game, having someone to help him and maybe even his champions deal with the incoming advertising invitations. Sponsorship contracts might not be a bad idea, considering that several modeling requests have already started coming for Sona, but arriving in his mailbox instead. They had to have been thinking that he was Sona's manager or something like that. I don't think that you can summon a giant purple worm from the void for us, can you, Naruto-kun? Ichuka asked with a small, amused chuckle, making Naruto laugh sheepishly before continuing. We are currently in the talk with the leaders of the dragons that are our allies. One of them is a referee for official rating games tournaments. So it wouldn't be difficult for us to strike a deal with them and have them participating in the new game mode. However, don't expect them to be defeated so easily, since dragons are the most powerful and prominent species in our world. It's never a wise choice to engage a dragon, whether it be a low-class dragon or one of the heavenly dragons, head-on in combat. I see. Naruto nodded, sweat dropping nervously. He had read about the strength of dragons of his world in the books written about them, and knew just how dangerous they could be. That will be it for now. I will make sure to keep you guys updated if there's any changes. Ichuka said, looking over at Ravel, who then lowered her head and bowed to him, understanding very well what she needed to do. See you soon, Naruto-san. And with that, Ichuka and the representatives' holograms disappeared, allowing Grafia to dispel the communication magic circles on their end, and letting them stand up finally, and leave the room to head back to theirs. With Grafia not forgetting to remind them to go to sleep early because they had a flight to catch tomorrow's morning. Knowing Grafia, she would probably want them to have enough time to have more than enough time to get themselves ready before going to the airports, even though she had already prepared their luggage for them. It had been an exciting evening for Naruto, and he intended to finish the night off with a blast. Tomorrow, they would travel to Reykjavik, Iceland to watch MSI 2021, and it would be the first ever international event that Naruto was able to watch live. Not only were they there to watch League at the highest level, they were there to prepare for the upcoming unofficial rating game tournament for Young Devils heirs, where they would host the first ever real-life League-inspired game mode. So to say that Naruto was excited would be an understatement. So it's still pretty early, do you want to play some League or head straight to bed? Rias asked, smiling at Naruto as the two of them entered his room, closing the door behind him with a foot. As much as Naruto wanted to grind for some LP before the trip to Iceland tomorrow, sex with Rias was not something he could turn down so easily. It had also become a nightly routine for the both of them, whenever Rias could be alone with him in his room. Before he could answer her, however, Naruto suddenly felt a presence behind him, and Rias widened her eyes a little when she saw a pair of glowing yellow eyes in the darkness behind her boyfriend. Before he could react, he then felt a pair of slender arms wrapping around his waist, removing his pants and stripping him down to his underwear very quickly, before two hands were shoved up the trousers to grab his dick. Evelyn, don't just creep up on him and start doing something like that. Rias scoffed lightly while looking at Evelyn, who shed her demon shade to fully appear beside Naruto, her head leaning against his waist as her arms were around him. I don't see him complaining, isn't that right? Naruto didn't say anything in return, but the expression on his face answered it all, as he was truly enjoying Evelyn's handjob, as she fondled his balls and worked his cock expertly with her hands, earning them both an annoyed scowl from Rias. The Crimson Heiress couldn't help but wonder why she had let the demoness convince her into getting Naruto to accept the fact that he definitely might have a harem in the future, with how some girls had started having romantic feelings for him. In all honesty, Rias did not need Evelyn to talk to her about it to see that girls like Ashia and Momo Hanakai of the student council had had a crush on her beloved pawn/boyfriend for so long. It was no secret that in the underworld, a lot of high-class devils have harems, especially the strong ones who had proven themselves to be the symbol of strength and power, like the devil Naruto was becoming at a rather fast pace. It's not something that they talked about often, but it was also something of an open secret. Guys like her ex-fiancé Razor Phoenix wasn't just the only devil who turned his whole peerage into a harem. They're just the most obnoxious ones about it. As much as she wanted to be selfish and to have Naruto all for herself, she didn't want him to feel troubled when a lot of girls that they were close to expressed their loves for him, knowing that it's never easy to turn someone's feeling down. Especially for someone who cared so much for others like Naruto. Not that he would ever go out his way and look for harem candidates like some perverts. But Rias had talked to him about it a few days ago, and the two of them had come to a mutual agreement that for the sake of each other's happiness, as long as he didn't try to sneak around her back and start sleeping with girls left and right, she would be fine with Naruto having intimate relationships with other girls. It was somewhat difficult, but for the first time in her life, Rias had decided to put her selfness and greed to the side. When she loved someone, their happiness became her happiness, and she would do everything she could to make the people she loved happy. She loved Naruto, and she loved girls like Ashia and Ravel too, with the latter had started developing a secret crush on him, ever since he saved her from those magicians with Gasper, maybe even before that. So it's natural for her to go out of her way and do everything she could to make them happy. About Evelyn, in the past, one of the only things that held Naruto back from just letting loose and fucking the shit out of Evelyn to put her in her place, was his wariness of her being a demon who liked to inflict the most agonizing pains on other beings through tortures. But now that he had gotten stronger, Naruto now could easily restrain her, if he wanted to, which at the same time, made it so easy for him to do whatever he wanted with the shameless demoness, who were all too willing to let him put a leash on her neck, and fuck her however he wished, which had soon become too tempting for Naruto to resist. The other reason, obviously, had been her, but now that Rias had given him the green light, nothing was holding him back anymore. How about we skip the boring ass game and go straight to do something a bit more exciting? Evelyn asked seductively, standing up a little to whisper into his ear, her hand peeling down his boxer to reveal his semi-hard member, hardening with the magical works of her skillful hands. Before her lasher came out and did the rest, leaving him bottomless between the two women. The next morning, exactly at 8:30, Naruto and the Occult Research Club, who had gathered at his house, left for the airport with the teleportation magic circle Graphia had set up for them. Since Kuo had yet to have an airport, they had to go to the one in the next town, which had a private service for the devils in Japan. Even Sona and her peerage, who appeared to have already left for Iceland yesterday, had to go to that town for their flight. Since it was more or less a field trip or a summer club activity for them, everyone was wearing their school uniform, with Naruto proudly bringing his new summoner jacket with him. The old one had been destroyed in the fight against Volley, much to Gwen's horror when he summoned her, hoping that she could fix it for him. So of course, the hallowed seamstress had to make a new one for him with a much more durable material, but no less comfortable than the last one. Seeing Gwen's sewing talent, Rias had also thought about asking her to make them a uniform of sorts in the Youth Devil Airs tournament. So even devils use planes to travel the world, huh? As is last with a grin as he came to stand beside Naruto, who was watching Ashia, Zenobia and Arena, the recently dubbed church trio, while they were excitedly discussing Reykjavik's tourist attraction with a travel catalog. The group had arrived at the airport a few minutes ago, and were now waiting for Rias and Akeno to return as they had left a moment earlier to make an arrangement with the staff of the airport who were devils. It appeared that Rias and her family had a surprise waiting for them. We can use teleportation magic, but Rai, President, thinks it's more fun for us to travel by plane. Plus, we are also in no rush. MSI starts in 3 days, so we have plenty of time for sightseeing too. Naruto answered with a shrug. That's what Rias had told him when he asked how they were going to go to Iceland. Just call her by her name whenever you want, kid, everyone knows you two are dating. The dual-haired fallen angel chuckled in amusement as he patted Naruto on the back. Can you stop calling me kid? I will, as soon as you start addressing me as sensei. Azazel laughed at the blank face Naruto was giving him. So your champions aren't coming with us? The blonde shook his head and then explained, I can always summon them, so there's no need for anyone who is staying at my home to tag along with us. If they are interested in the trip, they can always call me, so I can summon them once we are in Iceland. I see, damn, and here I thought that I could meet Sona in person to ask for her signature for Shimhaza. He's a huge fan. The governor grinned, taking a mini poster of Sona from the inner pockets of his jacket. Naruto wasn't surprised at all. Since her last public performance, Sona's reputation had skyrocketed, and she was now regarded as one of the most sought-after young musicians in the media industry. Now that the Devil faction had become allies with angels and fallen angels, of course she would start being recognized by them too. Also, because Sona had an extreme prominence in magic, many high-class devils wanted her for their peerages, with the last one claiming that she's worth at least 2 bishop pieces. However, Sona had turned them all down, not looking for giving her service to anyone but the summoners of the Institute of War, including the honorable young summoner Naruto himself. Lady Phoenix had also offered her full protection. The high-class devils had no choice but to turn their heads away, but no one knew if they would ever stop trying. Naruto really hoped that none of them would try to do anything stupid, or else he wouldn't know what he would do to those prideful shits if they forced Sona to become their servant against her will. I will ask her later, if you want, Naruto finally said. He didn't know if Azazel wanted to ask Sona's signature for Shimhaza, one of the other leaders of Grigori, for himself, considering that he carried a poster of her in his jacket, but he knew better than to question the man. Not when he's also a big fan of the Maven of the Strings himself. Thanks. So how's your training coming along? Azazel then asked, looking very interested in the subject as he was the one who designed a special training method for him, in order to increase his demonic power, and prolong the time that he could maintain his balance breaker and stay in it. But Hari and Evelyn taking turn being his training partner, and occasionally blitzkrieg for Naruto to see what he would turn out fusing with a robot with abilities like him. Naruto then went on to explain everything he had done so far with Azazel's special training, with the governor listening and taking notes whenever there was a problem that piqued his interest. Eventually, Rias and Akeno returned, but they weren't alone. There were 2 people, or devils, Naruto assumed, walking with them. The first being a beautiful girl with blonde hair tied in a ponytail and blue eyes. She wore a costume that is open in the chest area, revealing her large breasts and cleavage and part of her stomach. The costume has a section cut off in her arms, revealing her shoulders. The second devil greatly reminded Naruto of Set, but friendlier and more energetic, with his tall and extremely muscular build. However, the most noticeable thing about him was that he had a face that somewhat resembled that of Rias and her brother Surzich's, with short black hair and violet-colored eyes. Naruto also noticed that he had a strong aura of power about him, something that could be seen from powerful fighters like Set. Among their group, only Kiba, Kaneko and Ravel were the ones who were able to recognize the young man and the girl that was with him instantly, though Azazel looked like he had a basic idea of who they were. Everyone, this is Sariark Bale and his queen Kusha Batten. He's my cousin on my mother's side, and the heir of the Bale clan. Rias introduced them, making Naruto look at the grinning young man in interest. If he's Ria's cousin from her mother's side, then he came from the devil household of the Great King, whose status was right next to the Demon King themselves. There has been an issue with his flight, so I invited him to travel with us. How do you do? I'm Sariark Bale, the next head of the Bale family. Sariark reintroduced himself in a strong, somewhat majestic but friendly manner, whilst his queen lowered her head respectfully to them. That young man right there is the current strongest young devil, and an opponent of you in the tournament, possibly the strongest. Azazel leaned toward Naruto and told him, making the blonde nod his head in understanding. After a series of quick introductions, it was Naruto's turn to greet Sariark and his queen, having stood up from his seat and walked over to stand next to Rias. Sariark, this is Naruto Uzumaki, the summoner of the League of Legends. The heir of Bale smirked as he offered Naruto his hand. I have heard a lot of things about you. It's a pleasure to finally be able to meet you in person, Naruto. Only good things, I hope. Naruto smiled before he took Sariark's hand and shook it, noticing how his grip was like an iron clamp, even if he wasn't even trying to be intimidating or show off or even anything close to that. At the same time, the young Bale heir had also noticed that Naruto was barely affected by the strength of his grip. Yup, and saw lots of good things from you too. I especially like the way you punched your fist through Razor's gut months ago. And before he could finish that sentence, Kusha thrust an elbow into his abdomen, and even though he didn't even flinch, she was able to gain his attention, and Sariark finally noticed the drilled-haired blonde standing at the back of the group. Oh, my deepest apologies, I didn't mean to say that. It's alright, Sariark-sama. My brother deserved to be reminded that his power isn't absolute. Ravel shook his head and answered the tall man calmly. I see. Anyway, I would like to thank you all for getting my cousin out of that marriage engagement with Razor. No offense to you or your family, Ravel. Saryarg said, adding the last part to Ravel, who nodded her head in understanding, showing that she didn't mind at all. I was in the spectating area to cheer for her and you guys, and I was very happy that you finished it with a spectacular victory. I look forward to fighting you guys in the upcoming tournament, especially you, Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, Naruto is fine, Saryarg-san. Naruto answered simply, allowing a smile to make it to his face. Saryarg reminded him of Sona Citri, a very respectable high-class devil just like his master Rias. Razor and Sona's pursuers sure had left a very bad impression on him about how high-class devils were. And I also look forward to the day I can see and test myself against the strongest young devil. I don't know what to expect just yet, but I know that it's not a day that I will be able to forget. Love to hear it. The young Belair grinned. Naruto could see that the man was genuinely excited at the idea of fighting him. Ryozoji-sama, a male devil who was dressed in a unique crimson flight attendant uniform, then approached them and lowered his head to Rias, speaking to her in a respectful tone. Your flight is ready for boarding. Please follow me. Rias nodded her head in understanding, before turning her attention to her servants and cousin to say to them, It's time everyone, let's go. So are we talking about a private jet or something? Naruto asked with a grin as he came over to walk next to Rias, who winked at him in response, though he and the others, especially the new ones, did not have to wait long to get a proper answer for that question. Arriving at a private hangar where a super yacht-sized jet was waiting for them. Whoa! Ashia, Zenobia and Arino all gasped in amazement while gawking at the jet in front of them. Oh damn, really shouldn't expect anything less from the Gremory. They really do want nothing but the best for their servants. As is last in amusement, before he went after the church trio to enter, winking at a very attractive female flight attendant who stood at the head of the staircase leading up to the jet, as she lowered her head to him with a smile. Talk about travel and style. Naruto hummed while looking around and taking in the luxury, lavish-looking cabin. It had more than enough seats for their whole group, Saryarg and his queen. Toward the end there were a fully stocked bar and assortments of snacks and food for them to enjoy, a full-sized shower, a formal but high-class dining area, finished with a full galley and entertainment space. The seat is so comfortable. Irina Kutas threw herself into one of the seats, feeling herself getting sucked right in comfortably. So President-san, how long until we get to Iceland? We will be there in a little over 20 hours, so get yourself comfortable because it's going to be a long flight. Rias answered the angel girl with a smile, handing her bag over to a flight attendant before she turned to Saryarg, who had just entered with his queen. Make yourself comfortable, Saryarg. Thank you, Rias. The Belair grinned, nodding his head in appreciation to his cousin. Once everyone was in, it did not take it long for the rest of them to settle in, with Rias taking a seat in the front. Not because she wanted to sit there, but because Akeno had already taken the seat next to her boyfriend. The cabin rattled just a little as the jet took off, and soon they were in the air. The hours passed by idly as the group of devils spent their times chatting or playing standard games, with Azazel doing nothing but flirting with the beautiful bartender, while enjoying the exquisite drinks that she served him. Eventually, Naruto settled in a game of cards with Irina, Zenobia, Ravel, Gaspar and Kiba, mostly because Ravel was invited to play, but she didn't know how, so he decided to sit with her and teach the girl how to play the game. Kaneko was enjoying some snacks with Yumi, while Akeno was talking to Kusha. The two queens probably had met each other in the past. Meanwhile, Saryarg and Rias seemed to be having a conversation about the upcoming tournament. Naruto wouldn't say that he was eavesdropping on them, since the two didn't look like they wanted to keep it private, but from what he had heard so far, Saryarg had probably done his research on League. He didn't know if the guy had played the game yet or not, as he looked like a man who would fly around and be a superhero in the morning, and spent his time punching boulders and working out intensely in the afternoon, but Saryarg definitely looked like he knew what he was talking about. Competing against him at his peerage in the tournament wouldn't be so easy, Naruto could already tell. Yes, I heard Sakura would also leave for Iceland this afternoon. Hey Ravel, who's Sakura? Another heir. Naruto looked at Ravel and asked her. Yes, Naruto-sama. Sakura Agura-sama is the current heiress of the Gears household. Ravel answered him as she looked up from her set of cards, looking somewhat relieved, and also all too eager to answer his question. So the devil who held the highest second rank in Devil Society, Archduke, and that was as far as he knew about them, as he had not done much research on the remaining 72 pillars of the devil factions, together with Rias-sama, Sona-sama and Saryarg-sama. Sakura-sama is regarded as the Ricky's four, or the four young kings, who are best known for training themselves and their servants. I take that it's not something many high-class devils do, huh? Saying that is an understatement, Naruto-sama. Ravel answered with a shake of her head. Most pure-blooded devils, like my brother for example, would not train, and instead, they would depend entirely on the demonic powers that they inherited, and would simply trade off any of their servants that they deemed weak. That's why the Ricky's four are said to belong to something that is out of the ordinary, but together they have gathered a generation of promising young devils that are on an exceptional level. Damn, then she's another opponent we will have to watch out for. Naruto said with a chuckle, and the were-Aval nodded her head in confirmation, showed just how seriously strong the Arabic heirs and her peerage were. Who are the other competitors, by the way? Zephyr Glacial Bolsama and Diodora Astorv. Ravel said the last name rather distastefully, and the lack of honorable suffix evidently showed just how much she disliked that devil. If Naruto remembered correctly, among the names that Rias had mentioned going to Iceland to see the MSI and study league to prepare for its version in the raiding games, those two had never been mentioned. So it wasn't that hard for Naruto to come to the conclusion that the two were typical high-class devils. Both of them are relatives of two of the current Demon King, Beelzebub and Asmodeus. However, what piqued his interest was Ashiya's reaction when she heard the last name. "What's wrong, Ashiya?" Naruto couldn't help but ask, as Ashiya tilted her head to the side in confusion and looked like she was thinking very hard. "I think I might have heard the name Diodora before, I don't remember where, but," she said slowly, making Zenobia and Irina widen their eyes in surprise as Naruto looked at her thoughtfully. He was sure that before meeting him, Ashiya had only met one other devil, and healing that devil was the reason why she was deemed a witch and banished from her home. Could it be that Diodora was that devil? And if so, what was he doing in Italy at the time to get himself hurt so bad that he ended up needing Ashiya's help? It was also worth mentioning that he seemed to be someone Ravel had absolutely no respect for. It appeared that he needed to keep an eye out for Diodora in the upcoming tournament. In the end, it took them exactly 20 hours to arrive at Keflavik International Airport, which was 31 miles away from Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. The weather was extremely cold, so they had to wear a lot of warm clothes to not turn into popsicles. Although, Sarier didn't look like he was affected much by the low temperature, making Naruto wonder if he had ever trained on a snow mountain or something like that before. Damn, it's cold. Naruto shivered while washing his hands in a restroom of the airport, before he then dried it with a hand dryer, feeling a lot better with the hot air blowing onto his cold hands. Still, he couldn't stay there all day. Kiba and Azazel had already gone ahead of him and regrouped with Rias and the others, so he had to hurry too. But on the way, Naruto suddenly noticed something that was definitely out of the ordinary, or rather, someone, a young girl with long black hair down to her hips and black eyes, wearing a black gothic Lolita dress with a large purple bow on the back of her hip. She was looking directly at him while standing completely still, but people walked past her as if she wasn't there at all. "You lost, little girl?" he asked, looking at the black-haired girl before noticing a very familiar present behind him. Almost instantly, Naruto spun around and summoned Jin's pistol rifle, the whisper in a flash of light, aiming it directly at the spot between Vali Lucifer's eyes. But the White Dragon Emperor didn't even flinch, merely smirking at the blonde summoner in response. Before he could open his mouth to speak, a tear appeared in the space between him and Vali, who then jumped back to make room for a bespectacled young man with blonde hair, with a strand of hair across his face, and dressed in a business suit. He wielded a two-handed sword that was giving off an intense aura of dread, making Naruto realize that it was a holy sword, and an extremely powerful one at that. Sparks flew between them as Naruto summoned Yane's Azukana blade, and attacked him without even a moment of hesitation, but the other swordsman easily blocked it with his blade. "Lower your weapons," the enemy said in a very calm tone, and Naruto's eyes widened just a little as he found his body moving without his control. His legs shook a little and his mind rebelled, but Naruto forced himself to not listen to the order, keeping his weapons firmly in his grips. "Impressive. He is resisting your order," Arthur Vali said from the side, sounding genuinely impressed with his arms crossing on his chest, as his sacred gear Dividing Divine appeared on his back, but the people around them didn't seem to notice it. Seemingly under spell, or perhaps it's them who were being concealed away from the human eyes. Nevertheless, it did not take it long for the area to be clear, leaving only Naruto, Vali, Arthur and the little girl who was still standing there looking at him with a small smile. "It is admirable," the swordsman, Arthur, said as he readjusted his glass, holding Naruto back with just only one hand on his sword. "However, it's useless. None can defy the power of Excalibur Ruler, the strongest among the Excalibur fragments. You will. How about no?" Arthur was interrupted by the voice, and moved his head to the side just in time to avoid a simple but incredibly fast straight punch from Naruto, feeling it graze his cheek and draw an amount of blood still. Not giving him with enough time to make another command with that weird power of his sword, Naruto called for the power of his champion, and threw another punch at him. This one, however, was covered in a mini lightning storm, with the silhouette image of the relentless Storm Volibear, surrounding his whole body, in the form of the demigod of the storm Stormbringer ability. Although it was nowhere near as great as the one he had used to finish Kateria Leviathan, the intense power Arthur was feeling proved that Naruto would blow his head clean off if he was able to land his blow. Divide, 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 divide. But just before Naruto could do just that, Vali had activated his Sacred Gear's ability, and stepped in between him and Arthur to catch his fist with a hand, decreasing the power of his mini Stormbringer strike to safely hold it. Naruto then swung his other hand with Jin's pistol up, but dark purple rope suddenly shot out of the spot near his feet and wrapped around his wrist, immobilizing his arm and stopping Naruto from shooting Vali in the face. glancing over that direction and saw a woman lying on a billboard beside the wall. She looked young, maybe in her early 20s or something, with long black hair and split bangs that gave her a sort of wild, but sexually beautiful kind of look. She had yellow eyes with slit pupils like that of a cat, staring at him with a hint of amusement. In a way, she kind of reminded him of Evelyn. Beautiful, but in a dangerous and sensual sort of way. The clothing also emphasized this look of hers. It didn't appear to be anything unusual, just a black kimono and a yellow obi, showing that she's at least Japanese. However, the kimono hung loosely off her frame, leaving her shoulders bare and exposing a luscious amount of her incredibly impressive cleavage. Her outfit was finished with a set of golden beads hung from her waist, and an ornate headband sat upon her head, right next to her most noticeable features, a pair of triangular cat ears, with 2 black tails swished behind her. "So this is your team, Volley?" Naruto asked. "Give me one good reason I should not summon Aurelian Soul on you guys' ass right now." Despite his current situation, Naruto confidently said, the runes on the sleeves of his jacket glowing radiantly. Having mastered his champion summoning ability in the summoner runes, he did not need his hands to summon his champions to his side, and he made sure that Volley and his little group understood that too with the runes that were appearing and spreading out on the floor around him. Oh how scary and iya. Naruto glanced over to the cat girl, who giggled playfully while saying that to him. The way she talked reminded him of a league player he randomly met in rank at least once in a while. Their username was also BlackCat1123, which fitted her almost too perfectly. She wouldn't happen to be that player, right? The same reason I have not gone into my balance breaker and fought you right here, Naruto-san. We are not here to fight you. Volley said as he released Naruto's fist, making the blonde look at him suspiciously, but did not lower his guard. We're here because she wants to talk to you. She? Naruto asked, glancing over to the gothic Lolita girl, who had come to stand next to Volley as Arthur sheathed his sword. Now that she was standing closer, Naruto could see a hint of her pointy ears, which was hidden very carefully under her long black hair. My name is Office. The girl introduced herself, shortly and simply, making Naruto widen his eyes in shock. I have a proposal for you, Naruto Uzumaki. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the other videos that I have created, and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.